Our girl's relationship with Jaehyun has no love from the beginning, but she keeps holding on because at least he's still willing to stay with her. She goes looking for her stepbrother, Lee Uitaek, the one who's always crossed lines and made her feel unsafe. She hears he's at Hanyang Resort, so she goes to see him, hoping maybe things might turn around. But then, someone tells her he actually left for Namhae the day before with another woman to enjoy a hot spring bath. Just perfect. She finds him eventually, but he's not soaking in any hot water. He's in trouble, surrounded by some gang members. And what does she do? She jumps in and pleads with them to let him go. The gang leader, Kwon Jaeheon, pauses, squints at her face like he's trying to solve a puzzle, and says she looks familiar. Right when things start to feel tense, he gets a call from the elder, and just like that, they're both let go. It's December 2nd, 7 p.m., and the charity event hall at Taehan Hotel is all glammed up. Two ladies chat, trying to guess what's up for auction. One says there'll be over 15-carat diamond necklaces, and the other's already dreaming of sparkling stones. Suddenly, their conversation shifts. They spot a guy and gasp. Isn't that the president of KJ Finance? Yes, it's his first public appearance. One of them whispers that he looks just as handsome as the rumors say, with a face straight out of a romance drama, but apparently his background's darker than the bottom of a coffee cup. The other lady scoffs. Who even does business in Korea without connections to KJ money? She throws shade, saying even the former gangsta loan shark is climbing the social ladder. The first one tells her to watch her words. Meanwhile, more big names are in the room. Even the executive director of Sungjo Ilbo and the son of Sungjin's chairman are spotted. So much for a casual charity night. Then boom, actress Ji So-yeon walks in like it's her runway and heads straight for him. She links her arm with his, acting like they're the main characters here. She tells him her schedule ended late. He calmly says now that she's here, they can go. She tries to get him to show some excitement, maybe a little spark, but his response is sharp, almost robotic. She's thrown off and wonders where his attention went. She follows his gaze and spots a woman standing alone, Lee Goyo. Her makeup, her dress, way too perfect. She wonders if the woman is an aspiring celebrity or just someone playing the part really well. Their eyes meet, and Ji-seon quickly says they should go. The auction kicks off. A broker introduces the first necklace like it's the crown jewel. 400 brilliant cut diamonds, a 0.53-carat oval-cut diamond, all set in white gold. Over 15 carats total. Starting bid, 250 million won. The man thinks the necklace is charming and bids for it. Ji So-hyun panics a bit, tries to stop him, but he tells her not to bother. Across the room, the same young woman, Goyo, from earlier watches them closely. She thinks to herself that in darkness, people always chase after desire, and now she has to dive into that darkness too if she wants to lure him in. She remembers the mission to prove her worth by getting him. She wonders how to get Ji So-hyun out of that seat. But before she can come up with a plan, she hears a voice beside her. A man asks if she's interested in that too. She turns and studies his face. It looks familiar. He comments on the necklace, saying he doesn't get why people are crazy over it. It's nothing special in his eyes. She answers that it's expensive. In her head, she's thinking he's not talking about the necklace at all. Because if expensive means dangerous, then this man is worth a whole scandal. Even Congressman Lee Uitaek wants him. She turns to the man and casually says it's no big deal. He touches her arm and smirks, asking if she's made up her mind yet, what she thinks of him. He adds that if she came to the auction alone, then she probably knows what kind of place it really is. That's when it clicks. He's the executive director of Sungjo News, and now he's inviting her to come with him. Her thoughts spin back to the plan if she can't get the main prize. This one might just do. Jung-hoon tells her that even though it's their first time meeting, they should get a little familiar. He throws in that he's not a weirdo, just very interested. She smiles and replies that she already knows who he is without introductions. That definitely catches him off guard. She explains that she saw him once, at his wedding. Internally, she's still wrapping her head around the fact that she just found out about his divorce hours ago. He coughs, probably from the shock, and she softly adds that she was a guest from the bride's side. That one hits like a plot twist. Meanwhile, the auction wraps up and the necklace sells for a clean 1 billion. Everyone moves to the open floor, drinks in hand, gossip on lips. Whispers start circling about the woman standing next to the heir of Seongjo News. Someone finally connects the dots. She's the stepdaughter of Congressman Lee Uitaek. More murmurs follow. Wasn't he married? Divorced now? Isn't she his cousin's ex-wife? Someone throws in a proverb about not raising a black-haired beast that forgets its roots. She hears the whispers and feels the shame creep in. There's no stopping rumors, only surviving them. Then Jung-hoon suddenly drops a bomb, saying he fell for her at first sight. He adds that he never treats his partners lightly, and in her mind, she knows this is exactly the kind of scene the congressman would have wanted. Out of nowhere, Jaeheon shows up like it's his moment. He says from the second he saw her, he couldn't take his eyes off. She's caught off guard. He glances at Jung-hoon and throws a jab about seeing a different side of him tonight. Jung-hoon asks what he's trying to do. Jaehyun then looks back at her and says there's something she promised to give him. She looks completely lost. Before she can react, more whispers start floating through the crowd. Now she's being called a rare snake, someone who seduced her cousin's ex-husband and the most handsome man in South Korea. Her thoughts spiral. She feels like the scarlet letter is about to get permanently stamped on her forehead. She remembers the congressman's words, swallows her pride, and agrees to give whatever it is that he's talking about. Just then, Ji So-hyun yells across the room, but he brushes her off and tells her to go get a room ready. Ji So-hyun and Jung-hoon both try to stop him. Ji So-hyun's voice cracks as she says she canceled everything just to be there, but it's too late. As they walk off together, she wonders why he suddenly shifts his attention from Ji So-hyun to her. She doesn't get it, but she knows this might be her only shot. There might never be a second chance, so she's got to make this one count. Inside the room, he says if anyone sees them, they'd think he dragged her in, then casually adds that the door's still open. She can leave if she wants. He even says Ji So-hyun is still waiting for him outside. She asks if she walks away, would he ever call her again? He replies that he wouldn't really have a choice. Her head spins. She thinks about how someone like her managed to get someone like him this close. She admits she can't be like Ji So-hyun, but the congressman told her to leave a strong impression. Deep down, she fears that if this ends the wrong way, she'll just become a forgettable one-night story. He looks at her and asks if she's going to leave. She lowers her head and says thank you, but he suddenly replies that she doesn't have the right to make that kind of choice. He pulls her close, asks if she's scared now, and says she's the one who provoked him in the first place, so why act like a rabbit now? He slowly closes the space between them, his touch lingering just long enough to make her heart race, and without saying a word, he begins to get closer, drawing her into a moment that feels too intense to escape. She suddenly wakes up, her head a little heavy from the stress of the night. For a second, she wonders when she even fell asleep. One glance at the clock and her eyes widen. It's already 11 p.m. She blinks a few times, thinking to herself that she came here on the evening of the 24th and somehow it's already the 25th. She remembers eating, chatting, maybe even laughing a little. Then nothing. Classic food coma. She walks out to the sitting room, relieved to see it's empty. No awkward morning after talk? Perfect. She quietly starts packing her things, thinking she's lucky not to bump into him before making her grand escape. Then her phone buzzes. Actually, it's been buzzing. She finally notices the screen. It's got 99 missed calls. Her eyes nearly pop, all of them from Lee Uitaek. She scrolls through his messages, and it's basically him yelling at her in all caps, demanding she pick up. She sighs, thinking her escape plan might hit a wall the second she steps out. With no other choice, she picks up the call. He shouts right away, asking where she is and accusing her of ignoring him on purpose. She pretends her signal is bad and holds the phone like it's suddenly allergic to her face. Just then, she hears another voice. He casually says something about some little kid winning too much. She freezes, then slowly turns around. There he is. She asks who he's talking about, and he smirks, wondering why she looks so shocked. Is her heart hurting already? She asks how long he's been standing there. He casually replies that he's been there since she walked out of the bedroom. He's not exactly the type of man who goes unnoticed. Then he adds that he was secretly hoping she wouldn't pick up her phone while he was gone for just a bit. He pulls her onto his lap like it's the most natural thing in the world and says that if she dares go to Yoongun without his permission, she'll regret it. She sighs in her head, thinking it's not like she came here because she wanted to play house. He tells her to rest up because the night isn't exactly over. Then he stands, pulls something out, and places a necklace around her neck. He says it's a gift from Oppa to her. She blinks, seeing the exact same necklace from the auction yesterday, the one that cost a whole 1,000,000,000. She looks at him and says she can't accept it, it's too much. He shrugs and tells her to toss it if she hates it. Then he leans in and whispers that it's nothing to him anyway. She stares at the necklace, confused. One night with him, and now this? She wonders if maybe, just maybe, he actually put a little meaning behind it. Or maybe he's just rich and dramatic. Either way, her heart's not ready. He is deep in sleep, so still it almost looks like he's in a coma. She watches for a moment and quietly thinks that her body feels like a total mess, yet somehow she's okay with it. At least when she's with him, her mind isn't full of worries. It's peaceful. Then she checks her phone and sees a message from Yoongun. He says he's already sent his driver, Mr. Park, to pick her up, and that he'll forgive everything if she comes down right away. She sighs. Of course, there's a catch. She knows if she doesn't go, he might take it out on the poor driver, and honestly, Mr. Park doesn't deserve to be anyone's punching bag. So she gets dressed and follows the driver straight to the hospital. The second she arrives, things go sideways fast. He pulls her close, tries to act gentle, then starts asking questions about his kidnapping, wanting to know what his father did to those behind it. She calmly tells him that the news already covered it. Nothing was hidden. But his expression twists, and just like that, he lashes out. He blames her for not protecting him, says she betrayed him by being with someone else. Before she can react, his hand flies again, but it never lands. A strong grip stops it midair. She looks up, eyes wide. Standing there is Jaeheon. She stammers, asking why he's even here. He casually says he just came to visit a patient, like it's no big deal. Meanwhile, Yoongun is yelling, demanding to know what he thinks he's doing. Tension fills the room like a bad soap opera scene, and all she can think is, well, this just turned into a full-blown drama. He asks her with a straight face if she wants him to kill the guy. The other one starts yelling, demanding to know why he even showed up in the first place. She, of course, is completely thrown off, wondering how on earth he found her here. He casually tells the other man that he clearly doesn't know how to treat guests, then tosses him aside like a trash bag, adding that it's embarrassing to stand half-dressed in front of his own grown-up sister. Then he walks up to her and says he didn't plan to come either, but someone decided to run away while he was peacefully sleeping. The other guy suddenly gets louder, finally connecting the dots and yelling that he's the one she was with last night. He calls him a criminal and threatens that if he becomes a prosecutor, he'll take him down first. He smirks and asks if prosecutors now have magic powers to create crimes out of thin air. The guy reminds him of his gangster background, saying it wouldn't take long to find dirt on him. He laughs and says, well, until that day comes, let's keep dreaming. He adds that if he hadn't decided to be the bigger person today, he would have made him bow right there on the spot. The other one scoffs and asks why he should bow to him. He ignores the nonsense and turns to her, asking what she wants him to do with this guy, even saying he could kill him if that's what she wants. He throws in that the man's father is a wannabe politician with dreams of climbing higher but needs money to get there, which is exactly why he depends on him, the so-called cash king. But unfortunately, the man couldn't control his son's reckless woman-chasing habits, which is how he ended up making enemies with him. Knowing all that, the father sent her over like a peace offering, and since he liked the gift, he didn't plan to ruin anything, until now. She asks if he'd really go that far just because she says so. He throws the question back, wondering if she thinks he can't. She says it's a hospital, not an action movie set, and tells him people come here to be saved, not wiped out. He agrees, but before anything else happens, she suddenly collapses. He catches her in time, panicked, calling her name, but she's completely unconscious. Years earlier, a little girl sits in front of a police officer. They keep insisting she's been kidnapped, but she explains that she's always lived with her father. Then the other man walks in, politely dismisses the officer, and crouches beside her. He says her father kidnapped his son and tried to kill him, but if she listens to him, she'll become a good kid. She innocently asks what she should do. Later, the news reports that a young prosecutor successfully rescued his son from human traffickers and even discovered another victim, a 6-year-old girl. Lying on the hospital bed, she mumbles that her dad isn't a bad person. Then she blinks awake, confused, wondering if this is really a hospital. She hears a voice nearby, talking about some new movie with a wild psychopath character, joking that the world is officially going insane. Then, he notices she's awake, looks over and says, "It's been a while." It's the one person she never hoped to see, the politician, her father. He tells her that someone who hits first and talks later isn't a good person. Then asks if a gangster magically becomes a gentleman just by wearing a suit and doing business. He questions if it's not a crime to watch someone get hurt and do nothing. She realizes he's scolding her for not stopping the fight. In his eyes, she's not someone caught in the middle. She's someone who let it happen. A message pops up on his phone. He looks at her and says it looks like she caught someone's attention again. She's got another appointment at 2 p.m. at Taehan Hotel with an executive director. He brags that the man comes from a proper family, unlike a certain loan shark. He even adds that although the guy's divorced, he's not someone she can afford to turn down. At the hotel lounge, she sits across from the director. He shares how he used to be an entertainment reporter, met tons of beautiful women, but says most didn't catch his attention. She thinks he talks way too much, just like at the auction. He keeps going, saying when he saw her, he couldn't breathe right. Her thoughts drift to the warning she got, not to give her body away so easily this time. He notices she's spacing out and calls her back. She says something else is on her mind. He asks if he's being too old-fashioned. She says no. He brings up the last time they met, how she called him old and ran off without even going to the after-party. She wonders why he's pretending not to remember her walking off with someone else right in front of him. He says he's the one who got embarrassed and jokes that if she's bored, she could at least pretend she isn't. He notices she hasn't touched her drink. She tells him she was still a minor last year. He's surprised, says he thought she looked young, but didn't expect that. She asks if it's a problem. He says not really, but now he feels ancient. He asks if she had a good time the other night. She nods. He checks if she wasn't mistreated. She replies that she was actually treated better than expected. He's shocked. He even teases that maybe she's confusing people now. Then clears his throat and says when he claimed to fall for her at first sight, he meant it. He insists she's the most beautiful woman he's ever met. She doesn't agree. Then randomly asks if he's mixed. She apologizes right after. He grins and says she's not offended when called beautiful, but apologizes for asking about race. She falls into her thoughts. The compliment feels off. It sounds like he meant she's only beautiful because she looks different. But growing up, she's learned to ignore what people think about her face. He rambles on, saying he has no issue with mixed-race people. His great-grandmother was American after all. Just then, a voice cuts in from behind, telling her not to listen to nonsense. He turns around and sees someone else standing there. He complains that her manners are getting worse. She ignored his calls, yet here she is looking all dolled up. She asks how he found her. He grins and asks if that's all she's wondering about. Then leans in, calls her baby, and says she looks lovely. The director is shocked at the word baby. The guy doesn't care. He stares at the other man with a frown, then turns back to her and asks why she didn't pick up his calls. She tells him she doesn't pick calls from unknown numbers. He asks if she really doesn't know his number. She says he never told her. He acts all shocked, like that's supposed to be common knowledge. She tells him that the congressman is furious about what he did to someone, so he told her to meet with the director. He asks if she came willingly or was just following orders. Then he smirks and says he knows she's kind. Even if she wants to leave him, he won't let it happen that way. He'll be the one to walk away first. That gets the director mad. He jumps up and warns him not to threaten her. Says being a gangster doesn't mean he can touch whoever he wants. He points to her face and asks if he hit her. She says no. He asks who did then. She says a door. He repeats it like he's never heard anything more suspicious. He keeps asking if it's really a door, then mentions that incident in the news and asks if it was about the hospital assault. The gangster asks if he was behind the article. He says it was based on facts and asks if there was anything wrong in it. He replies that if the hospital refused to release the footage, the police wouldn't have started investigating. She thinks to herself that the congressman and his son won't be able to sue because that would dig up the full story. The director insists that punching someone is still assault, and their article wasn't wrong. She realizes if the police dig deeper, they'll uncover the truth, and that alone could destroy her father's image, especially during his campaign. The gangster then says his only mistake was not going too far, calling the other guy something definitely not YouTube-friendly. The director yells if he plans to kill someone now. He shrugs and asks what the big deal is. The director says he's only mad because of the article. He reminds him that he told him he'd be there today. The director asks why he would pick a place like that for a meeting. He points to a lady sitting nearby and says she picked it. The director is confused and asks who she is. Turns out, she's his older sister. He looks completely shocked and wonders why his sister is there with someone like that. He asks what kind of meeting they're having. The gangster says, well, the company's CEO has to clean up the mess her little brother made. He brings up the scandal from when he came back to Korea, the drug mess. The director snaps that it was a false accusation. He agrees, but says that's still what led to the divorce. He yells that it wasn't and says he could explain what really ended the marriage. She listens quietly and thinks that it's easy to measure the depth of water, but not the depth of a man's heart. The gangster tells him his phone's ringing and he should answer. When he picks it up, it's his dad yelling about the article, asking if he thinks he can just post anything. The gangster turns back to her and says she forgot the gift he left her at the hotel. He puts it on the table. She's surprised and asks if he had it in his pocket. He jokes if there's some law against carrying a necklace in a pocket. He calls it a courting gift and says he can get her a new one if she doesn't like it. She says that's not what she meant and asks if he's serious. He tells her it's only right she takes responsibility for the mess. She looks at him confused and asks if he flirts with every woman he sleeps with. He reminds her that he already said he doesn't like doing that casually. He brings up how he promised her something expensive and jokes that in return, she should give her body to him. She quickly covers his mouth in a panic, telling him to stop before he says too much. He says he thought she forgot. She tries to calm herself, thinking why her body reacts so wildly just from hearing his shameless words. He suddenly asks if her father could be a murderer. Her mind drifts back to when she first met the congressman. He bent down, looked at little her, and said her father kidnapped his son and tried to kill him. She was just a child, but she was shocked. He added that her father was a really bad person, and if anyone ever found out she was his daughter, they'd think she's bad too. Just like that. Back to the present, she starts shivering. She tells him that whenever he says things like that, it makes her nervous. He tells her to stop shaking, says he didn't even say anything scary yet. Then he says he needs her to do something, and if she does, he'll help her. She thinks about how she swore she'd never hold anyone's hand again, how hard it's been to trust, how tightly she's locked herself up. Then she asks if he's always like this with the people he gets close to, because he's been too kind. He laughs a little and says if she really thinks he's kind, then she must have had a rough life. She replies that no kindness ever comes without a reason. He tells her it's obvious what the congressman and his son are planning, that she should try guessing. Then he makes her promise not to ever let the son get away with it, says she has to stop him, and he swears he'll stop him himself if it comes to that, even if it means crossing a line. She looks at the hand that always reaches out to her. It's awkward, but she doesn't hate it. He reminds her again how much he hates it when she ignores him or plays with his head. She sighs inside, thinking that rich guys just love taking turns messing with her peace of mind. She remembers when she first met the son, how he called her a dog and treated her like one. The congressman's sister even told her that she was the one who brought him into her life, thinking her uncle had been too generous with her. Present moment again, he tells her he's planning to make some time soon so they can have a real, honest talk. Then he asks how she feels about it. She tells him she's okay with that. He says good, because he already knows what he's going to say. She asks if she needs to know in advance. He says nope, because even if she knew, it wouldn't change anything. Words don't work on him anyway. Goyo sits at a luxurious beauty shop, receiving a message from Jaeheon, who says he's in a meeting. She replies that she's arrived, and he informs her that he's asked Director Jung to take care of her. A staff member brings her a welcome tea, and she thanks them, wondering why she wouldn't enjoy the service at such an exclusive establishment. As she recalls Jaehyun's shopping spree earlier, where he ordered numerous clothes without knowing her size, she thinks to herself that this is a personal shopping service. She tries on various outfits, and Jaehyun comments on how well they fit her, deciding to buy all of them. She teases him about calming down, asking what day it is, and he reminds her about a banquet they're attending that evening. During their journey, she reflects on how Jaehyun's respect and consideration have made her heart pound, and she's starting to trust him. However, she reminds herself that trusting people can be foolish. When Jaehyun arrives at his destination, he says he'll see her later, and she messages him to be careful in the snow. He appreciates her concern. Jaehyun meets Congressman Lee Uitaek, who mentions a promise and asks when he'll bring his daughter back. Jaehyun points out that Uitaek was the one who sent her to his hotel room, and Uitaek claims it's because Park Jung-hoon wants to have dinner with his daughter. Jaehyun expresses his surprise that Uitaek would like someone like Jung-hoon. Meanwhile, at the beauty shop, Nanoan named Sohyun, CEO and director of Seongjo News, arrives and is stopped by the guard. Goyo recognizes her and feels uncomfortable. Sohyun introduces herself confidently, and the guard apologizes, backing down when she threatens to call their boss. Goyo is intimidated by Sohyun's authority. Back at Congressman Utaek's office, Jaehyun receives a call and answers it, prompting Utaek's anger. The call ends abruptly, leaving Uitaek visibly upset. She sits with Sohyun at the beauty shop, sipping coffee. Sohyun comments that the coffee isn't as good as the one at the Taehan Hotel, then asks if it suits her taste. She takes a sip and says it's delicious, visibly relieving Sohyun. Sohyun notices her necklace and asks if it's from the Devil Temptation set. She confirms that the president gave it to her. Sohyun recalls her brother wanting the necklace and losing it to the president. She makes a witty remark about the president and her brother having similar taste in love, comparing her brother to a garden with a flower on his shoulder. Sohyun's words are laced with humor and subtle jabs, keeping the atmosphere light. She listens intently, her expression a mix of amusement and curiosity. The conversation flows effortlessly, with Sohyun's sharp tongue and quick wit making it engaging. Thanks for tuning in. If you're hooked and want more, please comment and subscribe. Your comments and subscriptions fuel my motivation to continue. I'll see you in the next part.